If you've been following news out of Minneapolis this month, you've probably seen footage of protests and clashes between federal immigration agents and community members. Now, a federal judge has stepped in with a new court order directly affecting how immigration officers can interact with peaceful protesters and observers. In today's video, we'll say what the judge ruled, why it happened, and what it could mean for protests and immigration enforcement. We'll also break down what the judge didn't change, because that matters too. On January 16, 2026, a U.S. District Judge in Minnesota, Judge Catherine Menendez, issued a court order that places limits on federal immigration agents' tactics in and around protests tied to recent enforcement operations. Here's the key part of the ruling. Federal officers, including Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and other agencies, are barred from detaining, arresting, or using force against people who are peacefully protesting or observing immigration operations unless there is reasonable suspicion of a crime or interference with law enforcement. That means no arrests, no tear gas, no pepper spray, and no detaining drivers or passengers just because they are watching or walking near immigration activities, unless there is a clear and immediate legal basis to do so. This order applies specifically to the Twin Cities area of Minneapolis and St. Paul, where a large federal immigration enforcement operation has been underway. To understand this, we need some context. Since early January, Minnesota has seen intense protests related to a federal immigration enforcement operation known as Operation Metro Surge, which brought thousands of ICE and Border Patrol agents into the Minneapolis area. Tensions escalated after a 37-year-old woman, Renee Good, was fatally shot by an ICE agent during a protest in Minneapolis, an incident that has drawn national attention and widespread demonstrations. In the days that followed, there were multiple reports of confrontations between protesters and federal agents, including the use of chemical irritants and arrests of individuals who were peacefully protesting or simply observing. 6 Minnesota residents, including protesters and observers, sued the federal government, saying their constitutional rights were violated by how immigration agents were engaging with them. The judge's order is a direct response to that lawsuit. Here's what immigration agents can no longer do while the injunction is in effect: arrest or detain individuals who are peacefully observing or protesting unless there is reasonable suspicion that they've committed a crime or are interfering with law enforcement. Use chemical irritants like tear gas or pepper spray against peaceful demonstrators or bystanders. Stop vehicles where the drivers or passengers are not obstructing agents or suspected of a crime. The judge said the government has not adequately explained why it is necessary to use force or detain peaceful observers. It's important to be clear about what the court order does not do. It does not end the federal immigration enforcement operation itself. It does not prevent agents from acting if there's a legitimate criminal threat. It does not apply statewide, only in the Twin Cities area where the lawsuit was focused. So agents can still enforce immigration laws and take necessary action in response to actual crimes. This order is specifically about limiting certain crowd control responses and arrests against people exercising their rights to peaceful protest. This ruling touches on 2 important areas. 1. Free speech and assembly rights. The judge's decision reinforces the idea that peaceful protest and observation are protected under the Constitution, even when demonstrations are about contentious issues like immigration enforcement. 2. Oversight of federal enforcement. It also reflects increased judicial scrutiny on how federal agencies, including immigration agents, interact with the public. This kind of oversight could shape how future operations unfold, especially when large federal forces are deployed in local communities. Local officials, including Minnesota's mayor and governor, have called for calm even as tensions remain high. People on both sides, from civil liberties advocates to federal officials, are watching the fallout closely. We'll continue monitoring any appeals or changes to this injunction. how enforcement operations adapt under the new rules, as well as reactions from community leaders and federal agencies. If this explanation helped you understand what's happening in Minnesota, tap like or leave a comment. And if you want the latest on this and other immigration issues, be sure to subscribe to U.S. Immigration Update, your source of trusted, clear, and timely updates on U.S. immigration news and policy. Thanks for watching.